I'm Ron Glutzball from Purdue University. This presentation is on integrating generative and agentic AI in higher education faculty development. As we know, AI is all around us. It's already embedded in student workflows. They're using it for writing, for coding, problem solving. They're using it for things we're not even aware of. Faculty preparation, however, is uneven. There are many instructors who have limited experience with AI tools. We have older instructors, younger instructors, those that are interested in it, those that have no interest whatsoever. Professional development has not kept pace, and all of that is creating an instructional gap. Students and faculty approach AI very differently, and teaching practices are going to have to adapt quickly. The core problem includes that generative AI changes how work is produced. Students can generate complete responses instantly. What we used to see as traditional assignments may no longer reflect learning. Agentic AI is now changing how tasks are performed. Systems initiate actions and guide processes. It moves beyond simple response generation. And faculty development in these areas is lagging. Focus remains on the tools rather than pedagogy, and there's been limited guidance by institutions for instructional integration. Taking a look at generative versus agentic, I think most people are very familiar with generative AI, which requires user prompts. It produces text, codes, images, structured responses. Agentic AI, or having an agent do something for you, it can plan a multi-step task, suggest next actions, guide learners through processes. It's a unique type of AI. The instructional implication brings us to a shift from tool use to a learning partner, something that students and instructors alike can use as a partner in learning and creating. It's going to require new teaching strategies. This matters because it changes student learning behavior. Students may rely on AI for initial problem solving, but it reduces the visible evidence of reasoning. We're no longer able to see it. It changes instructional expectations. Faculty must rethink assignments and evaluations. It requires new forms of engagement. It's changing the definition of learning. The focus is shifting from product to process. Emphasis on interpretation and evaluation. We now have to look at how students are prompting AI and how they're using it and iteratively changing it in order to get their product. It's shifting to the process. This brings with it opportunities, such as personalized learning experiences en masse. You can adapt content to student needs and do it for an entire class. It brings increased instructional efficiency. For instructors, it can help provide faster feedback and help generate content, reduce the amount of time spent on repetitive tasks. It can also provide expanded learning support. It can be a partner in helping students learn. It can provide scaffolding and suggest ideas and support students when instructors are not available. With those opportunities come concerns. Accuracy and reliability. Many of you have heard how accuracy can be an issue, validity can be an issue. AI can be wrong. Many times it's not, but it can be wrong, and students may not recognize when it is wrong. There can be an over-reliance on AI, which brings reduced engagement with course concepts and a decline or a potential decline in critical thinking where students are not thinking problems through. They're getting to the answer faster and avoiding that struggle that produces the long-term learning. And there's ethical considerations. There can be bias in the language models, and authorship and ownership become an issue in determining who wrote it, was it AI generated, and attributing it properly. Coming back to the faculty development gap, there needs to be an institutional focus on technology adoption and an investment in tools and platforms. Institutions need to help bridge this gap. There has been limited pedagogical guidance on the use. There are many faculty that are just not sure how to integrate AI meaningfully in their class, and a lack of structured training models provided by our institutions to help the faculty figure this out. There is a need for intentional development. Focus on teaching strategies, not just tools, and to emphasize learning outcomes while using AI to help support the development. Some things that faculty need are AI literacy, so that everyone can understand how AI generates the outputs and recognize its limitations. Faculty need prompting skills. It's one thing to ask a question. It's another thing to understand how to form the question properly and iteratively change it to get exactly what you need. Faculty need evaluation skills. They need to critically analyze AI-generated content, and in many cases be able to look at content and know that it was generated by AI. And that takes some experience, that takes time, that takes seeing it many times. They need to be able to verify the accuracy and relevance of it. And they've also got to be aware of the ethical issues surrounding it, as we touched on earlier. There are student challenges. Students can have an overtrust in AI systems. They can assume the outputs are correct. They asked a question, they wrote down the answer from the question, and they went no further. Thus having limited critical evaluation on the student part. Students can have reduced engagement with the problem and with the class. AI can replace the problem-solving processes, and again, having students skip intermediate steps and skipping that struggle that helps the long-term learning. They can also have a misunderstanding in AI limitations and the difficulty in identifying errors and bias, and have an overconfidence in the AI capabilities. So we need roles for faculty. Faculty need to guide critical thinking and encourage that evaluation. They need to maintain instructional control, say how and when AI is going to be used, and make sure that it does not replace the teaching. Design meaningful learning experiences. Design and structure AI within assignments, and focus on the process of using it over the product that AI creates. We also need hands-on faculty development. Faculty need direct interaction with AI tools. They must experiment with AI themselves. They've got to have the time on task to do it. They've got to develop a practical understanding. Faculty need practice prompting and refinement. There are many people that just don't use it or don't want to use it, but they need it. They need to learn how inputs shape outputs and explore the iterative process, how to modify that prompt over and over and over again to get at what you need exactly. They need to apply instructional design and integrate AI into assignments through that design, and align it with learning objectives. So with generative AI in teaching, we can have content creation. It can help us create examples, explanations, exercises. It can be a tool for faculty to generate content or help generate examples and content for students, more so than we've had in the past, to help us adapt it to different cases that different students can understand better. We can use AI to help with lesson planning and help lay out a structure for it, support the course design, and provide us with ideas. You can prompt AI to give you ideas for lesson planning. You can also use it for feedback and assessment and supporting and assisting in feedback and grading workflows. Agentic AI in teaching. Again, the creation of an agent that works on your behalf is a way to look at it. You can have a guided learning process. Have the agent to suggest next steps in problem solving and provide structured learning paths. You can have adaptive support. You can have instructional implications. All of those things can help a student from beginning to end over a series of time, guide them from one end to the other. To balance it, support versus substitution. AI needs to enhance, not replace thinking. You need to be able to maintain that cognitive function, that cognitive engagement, and not skip it. Structure versus autonomy. In trying to integrate AI into coursework, we are structuring it and becoming more and more rigid and trying to tell students when and where and how they can use it, but at the same time, we can't take away their autonomy. We can't take away that sense of agency and ownership that they have over the product they're creating. So there's a balance there. And you don't want to have that over-scaffolding that would reduce student autonomy. There's efficiency versus depth. You need to balance the speed with meaningful learning. AI is going to speed up a lot of aspects of what we do, but you've still got to have that meaningful learning. That comes back to that cognitive engagement. And you've got to prioritize that conceptual understanding. When it comes to data and analytics, it can give us insight into student learning. It can help us analyze performance, identify areas of difficulty for students. It can support formative assessment and provide feedback. But faculty are responsible. They have to interpret it correctly, and they have to consider the ethics and the responsibility they have in using it. There are some issues in equal access. There are differences in AI tool availability and variability across the internet. A very good example of this is that anyone can have access to ChatGPT at its base level, but in order to get to a lot of the increased functionality that ChatGPT has to offer, you have to pay for the plus version. Many people don't want to or aren't able to pay for that version, that monthly fee. The same thing goes for Microsoft Copilot. Microsoft's available on Office 365. It's integrated into each of the softwares. It also is on Windows as a separate piece. Again, at its base level, it's there. But when you want it to do more advanced features, you have to upgrade to the premium and pay that annual fee. So there's an equality issue there in many ways. There's a risk of widening gaps because of that. People who have access to it, people who don't. And faculty still need to recognize that there may be disparities there and have to make sure that the learning experience is suited for all students. There are privacy and ethics issues, data privacy concerns, because AI systems collect and analyze data. And there can be potential misuse. There can be bias in AI systems. So that ethical responsibility exists, and faculty must guide responsible use of it and promote transparency when it is used. We also have a risk of overdependence. This overdependence can reduce independent thinking. Students can rely on AI for solutions. They'll have less engagement with problem solving, which brings us back to that cognitive thinking. We need them to engage with the struggle. The struggle promotes long-term memory learning. It can have an impact on learning habits. There can be an avoidance of productive struggle, as I've been saying, which produces a shallow understanding. There are also cases of possible mental health effects where there's dependence on external support and reduced confidence in one's own abilities. So our key takeaways are that AI is transforming higher education. It's already embedded in student learning. It continues to evolve rapidly. It's not going away. Faculty development is essential. There is a gap there. There are so many things that faculty need to learn. We must focus on pedagogy and practice, prepare instructors for AI integration. Instructional design is critical. We need to determine how AI impacts learning and shapes student engagement. Our closing thoughts are that AI will reshape teaching and learning. It's not temporary. It's going to be there for the long term. Faculty are still central to this, and the key question is not whether to use AI, but how to use it effectively. Thank you. I look forward to your questions this week.